Welcome to the Karate My Cheesecake podcast. I am Danielle, your host, and today we're going to talk about the foundations of wellness. But before I do that, I just want to thank you and acknowledge that you could be doing anything else, listening to anybody else, watching anyone else, but I'm grateful that you're here and I don't take it lightly. You may be driving, doing your chores around the house, or exercising, or whatever it is you do when you listen to podcasts or watch YouTube videos. Thank you. It's such an honor to be here. All right. This episode can get really long if I'm if I'm not careful, and it still might. I'm sorry. But I want to take the mystery out of health and wellness for you by talking about the foundations of wellness. Think about it like it's January and we are all like, what's your New Year's resolution? It's always like we want to start over. We want to start a year fresh, and my thing is I don't want you to be inundated with so much conflicting information, or do this and do that, and or don't do this and don't do that, and that's how you get healthy. But you can't keep straight the do's and the don'ts and the good and the bad list like that. It gets, like I just said, it gets so confusing, and you're not to blame. You're overwhelmed. Maybe you think you need to do a complete overhaul, and there really is no good time to start an overhaul unless you're going to be doing a closet clean out. But you're not a closet, and nothing is able to be done literally overnight or in one day. Some of our closet, quote unquote, if you will, is packed with symptoms that have progressively gotten worse over the years, or even have just been there for years and they're our normal. But what would life be like if you could live your life abundantly? If you could come to a place where you were not held back by your symptoms or your body's size and really actually live life well? Would you be more productive at work? Volunteer more? Go on longer walks? Get on stage and sing your heart out without fear or worry of people seeing your body and not you? Would you go and travel more? Would you host more people in your home to provide them a place for a small group, for worship, or just a friend, like friendship parties? You'd have the energy, wouldn't you? The energy, the mental fortitude, the stamina, and the thoughts of your body holding you back would be replaced with more of what you could offer others. So here's what we'll do. I'm going to share 7 foundations of wellness with you today, but I want you to do me a favor. It will be so tempting to want to do all these things at once and start tomorrow, or skip around to whatever seems easiest now. I want you to, if you can, either bookmark or save this episode and come back to it, or even take out a pen and paper now. Take some notes. I don't want you to move on to the next level until you've mastered the first ones before it, because these are buildable. They're not meant to be done all at once. Okay? I'm going to say that again. Everything I say today is buildable. If it takes you 6 months to get step 1 done, then stay there. If you cannot be consistent with step 1, stay there, because then you're going to need to add in step 2. Step 2 and step 1 have to be consistent together. But if you can't get step 2 consistent, you have to go back to step 1. Okay? So, understand? Promise me that you won't go on. All right. I'm going to pray that you heed this warning well. All right. So here comes the secrets that everybody doesn't want to tell you. And quite frankly, I have courses about this. I teach my clients this. These are the secrets that people will pay for. And we'll talk about the reason why we don't get these, why we don't do these at the end. Like, why is it that we know these things, but we can't actually do these things? All right. So step 1 is to eat properly prepared, nutrient-dense foods. Yeah, it always starts with the food. We cannot live without food. I mean, we can live about 8 weeks without food, but we cannot live without food. And when I say nutrient-dense, properly prepared nutrient-dense foods, nutrient-dense means it's just full of a lot of nutrients, and it comes with all the nutrients together in order to be absorbed, all of that. It's a fancy way of saying eat whole foods. So people will ask me, clients will ask me, well, how do I eat whole foods? Like, I want to make soup. I want to make this. I want to make a casserole, all of that. The ingredients of whatever you're going to do they're fresh. They're fresh. They're whole foods. They're not coming from a box. Now, sometimes I do use boxed mashed potatoes. If you look at many boxed mashed potatoes, actually many of them are like literally potatoes. Like that's it, just dehydrated potatoes. But there are some, and I don't remember the name brand, but it is in a bag and they come with flavors. Those ones have like canola oil and some other like bad ingredients in them. And I'm gonna say bad ingredients, not helpful ingredients to this process. So nutrient dense, properly prepared whole foods. This is so hard because in our culture, we want to just race through the drive-through. We want to go grab the frozen food. We want to go get stuff off of a deli that may not be 100% healthy, but we think of ourselves as last minute things. Or we think of ourselves like we are feeding ourselves. So one of my friends, he's a car dude, and he made an analogy the other night for me that made a whole lot of sense. He said, if I'm going to fuel my Ferrari, I don't think he has a Ferrari. He's more of a Ford guy, I think. Anyway, if I'm going to fuel a Ferrari, what kind of fuel am I going to give that versus my lawnmower? And there's things I wouldn't even put in my lawnmower. And I learned that lawnmowers are kind of sensitive when it comes to their fuel because apparently you gotta have like, is it 2-in-1 oil? I don't even know. I'm just gonna stop right here. But even mowers, the lawnmowers, they are sensitive to food or to their fuel as well. So what am I fueling? A Ferrari or a lawnmower? Or am I fueling something even less than that? And my thing is that if you are a follower of Christ, you have been created in God's image and you are surrendered to a new way of living. If Christ's blood was enough to save you from your sins for eternal health, why are we treating our bodies with utter disrespect? The exact temple that the Holy Spirit is bestowed upon, the gift of the Holy Spirit and bestowed upon us, why are we treating our body as if it is a last minute thing that can be fixed in a drive-through? That our God-given hunger for food, saying, I need nutrients, I need to be fueled, is it okay to just go through the drive-through? And I'm using the drive-through as an example, but you know what I'm saying, like those highly palatable, highly processed foods usually are found in the drive-through. So shift your mind about whole foods. Make the time. You have the time. You just need to make sure that you have the things on hand that you need. And that is where I go into mentoring clients and people in my membership, the Wilderness of Wellness, about, well, what do we have on hand? How do we make this fast and easy at home, but make it whole foods? So my recommendations for you is to, one, eat as many foods from the supermarket that are on sale and fresh. Buy what's on sale because it is expensive. Eating whole foods can get expensive. But then I look at how expensive McDonald's is. I literally just got back from Costco and some of those squeezes, so you know what I'm talking about when I say squeezes, like those fruit, like they look like baby food pouches, but they've got like all different kinds of fruit in it and they're all whole foods in there. I went to get my kids some because in the wintertime we have trouble getting fruit in. And so I was gonna get us some, and then I looked and they were like $5 more expensive. And I'm like, turned right back around and went to the fresh produce section, and the same amount, like, you know, the same amount relative in comparison to these squeezes, it was like $5 cheaper or even cheaper than that to get the fresh fruit. So it is going to be a little bit more expensive, but find what's on sale and find what's fresh. And usually what's on sale is what is in season. So think about, so that's like fruits and vegetables, your meats. I understand meats are going to be the most expensive thing you buy, but we don't want meats that are coming from a box. We want and if it is from a box, make sure the only ingredient is that meat. Like that's it. Maybe some salt or some pepper or whatever like that. But we don't want any other ingredients. Meat should be meat. So what I like to buy is when they're on sale, the tray, and you know what I'm talking about, like that styrofoam tray of meat from the meat section. Or I will go to the meat counter and order some meat from there. And usually there's always something on sale. I buy what we need. I don't buy extra unless it's on sale. Costco, Sam's Club, and I'm trying to think, they're like Thrive Market. I'm going to throw Thrive Market down in the bottom for you. A link. If you've never done Thrive Market, they are great. So is Imperfect Produce. I'm writing this down now so I don't forget. Imperfect Produce is a great place to find on sale, like just loosely imperfect, not bad for you kinds of foods. But if you are struggling to get whole foods in, you can get fresh meat area in the frozen meat area. You can look, most of those meats are fine. Just make sure that there's no extra ingredients. Vegetables are best from fresh or frozen, and actually frozen vegetables are superb because they're actually frozen at the peak time that they need to, so they keep all their nutrients in it. If you're getting something from the frozen section, just make sure it's the single ingredient on the label and start there. Frozen vegetables are really cheap. They really are. And you don't have to worry about them going bad. Aldi and other low-cost budget-friendly stores carry these things for you, so don't be scared of the cost. And the other thing is if you only buy whole foods, then you are going to eat them. You don't need to buy over. And I think that's something too, like, and I don't know if it's cultural, I don't know if it's a Midwest thing, I don't know if it's whatever, but it's a scarcity mindset that I grew up with, that we had to buy an abundance of food. And then so when it was just my husband and I, so much food would go to waste because we didn't use it in time, because we physically could not use it in time. Buy what you need, and that requires you to plan. Meal plan. Meal plan and meal prepping are two separate things. There's a season of life when meal prepping is a great time, but I don't do it. That is most of my life. I do not meal prep. Meal plan. I meal plan all the time because it helps me stay within my budget for our food. It helps me stay with budget with my caloric budget and my macronutrients that I need, the protein, carbs, and fat. It also allows me to see what's on hand. What do I have on hand in the pantry? What do I have on hand in the refrigerator already? What do I have on hand in my freezers? And so that way I'm not buying things that I don't need, and I'm only buying what I'm going to use that week or whatever. Inevitably, you're going to forget something, and that's fine, but I'm just trying to help you not be overwhelmed. If you don't make a plan to fail. If you don't make a plan to fail when it comes to your food, when it comes to pretty much everything else in life, right? The second tip I have for this one, for this properly prepared, nutrient-dense food, is eat out no more than once a week. And that includes your fast foods, your sit-down restaurants, running to the grocery store to grab something fast. You were not created to be a last-minute thought, so don't treat yourself as such. Your food is fuel. What kind of fuel do you want to give your body? And what kind of fuel you do give your body tells us what kind of vehicle you wish to live in. All right? Second step. So once you have mastered that, and that may take you 6 months, that may take you a year. Once you have mastered that, we need to focus on supporting our digestion. You've probably heard that you are what you eat. That's actually not true. You are what you absorb. You are what you absorb. There can be two issues with digestion. You can, one, either be absorbing crappy foods, or two, you cannot be absorbing any foods. Both of these are a problem. Some ways to address your digestion include chewing. Digestion actually starts in your brain, but I'm going to go into that into a whole, I'm going to do an episode specifically on each of these to kind of help you out a little bit deeper. Again, these are all tips and tricks I use with my own clients, okay? I'm giving you all of this information for free because I think that we need to be, if I had heard this when I needed support, I would be in a different place than I am now. So I want you to have this information. Digestion starts in your head and then it goes into your mouth. Your mouth is the only mechanical breakdown of your food. If we are not chewing to a smoothie type consistency before swallowing, we are going to create a whole host of problems all the way through our digestive system. So most of us, if you're like me, we go, with our fork, stab, stab, chew, chew, and down. This requires us to slow down. Slow down. Kind of like the theme with step one. Step two is also slow down. Slow your roll. If you have to put your fork down or your spoon down between chewing or between bites, do it. Take a pause. Chew to a smoothie type consistency before swallowing. 2, take liver bitters or digestive bitters before and or after your meals. These bitters are bitter. They're disgusting. But back in the old days, and I'm going to say old days, but for real, back in ancient times and Old Testament times, and even during New Testament times, and throughout, honestly, my own early childhood, there was something bitter on the plate. And that could be, some kind of herb, that could be horseradish, that could be, I'm just like, I can't think off the top of my head at the moment, but it is important to start with something bitter before your meal. So, like, let's just say you do choose to go out to a steakhouse. And I'm saying a nice steakhouse that actually has decent food, not just, what's it, Texas Roadhouse or something like that, which is mostly processed things. But if you go out to a restaurant and you get is it sparkling water, and like you can ask the bartender to put in some bitters and drink that helps. But the bitters, what they do is they go to the stomach, and then obviously they go in the stomach, but they trigger a hormone, your digestive hormones to start. And then those hormones tell the pancreas to get ready to make some insulin to collect all that glucose so that it can provide energy to the body. It tells the liver, hey, let's make some bile. Let's get ready to make some bile so that we can absorb our food, or the nutrients that are coming, emulsify those fatty acids that we're going to take in, and help that digestive process even better. And the third thing I would have you do, though, and the digestive bitters, I do have them linked below for you in the show notes. The third thing I would have you do for digestion to support your digestive process, if you have constipation or diarrhea or have no gallbladder, I would have you drink beet juice every day, and think about getting some digestive support that includes beet juice, taurine, vitamin C, with or without pancreolipase. I will share this below in this and talk about this a little bit more in the fatty acids section. I'm going to talk about that here in like a couple minutes. But I will talk about this a little bit more below, and I have linked it below that what I recommend. This product and these products have been known to quote unquote fix chronic bowel issues like IBS and IBD, for example. But if you don't have a gallbladder, you always, always, always will need digestive support. Okay. But beet juice, taurine, vitamin C, with or without pancreolipase, these are nutrients and nutrients and vitamins and amino acids that really do help your liver with sluggish bile and so forth. So first one was properly prepared nutrient dense food. Second one is digestion. We don't move ahead without making sure we mastered the first one first. So next is blood sugar. The third step is blood sugar. This can be this could be arguably, and when I say arguably, meaning that I will probably go after blood sugar first. I will probably step over those things when I'm working one-to-one with my clients and with my members in the Wilderness of Wellness. I will actually kind of combine all three of the three steps all in one and really hit it hard so that you will see the best results. But by yourself, please, please, please don't go overboard, okay? All right, step 3 is blood sugar. We often think of blood sugar as diabetes. Anytime I say blood sugar, like your blood sugar is dysregulated to someone, they're like, oh no, I don't have diabetes. I'm like, no, I understand you probably don't, but I'm here to tell you blood sugar is not just for diabetes. You see, we need blood sugar. We need blood sugar to continue it's actually our favorite source of energy for the brain. And when you go to the hospital, do they pump you full of protein? No. Do they pump you full of fat? No. They pump you full of sugar, of glucose, because you need glucose to keep going and so forth. So blood sugar regulation is, yes, it does have to do with diabetes, but it's the 5th level of blood sugar dysregulation. Diabetes is a 5th level of blood sugar dysregulation. There are 4 levels before that. And most Western people live in step 1, 2, and 3. And then when they hit about 40, 45, then they move into step 4, which is pre-diabetes. And once they hit their 50s, like somehow it just magically turns into type 2 diabetes. And it doesn't magically turn there, you guys. We can prevent type 2 diabetes. And type 2 diabetes and blood sugar dysregulation is correlated. There's no causation proved, but is correlated to the inflammation in the body, heart disease, cancer, basically anything that goes wrong with our body that is a disease of civilization, or I'm going to call them traumatic diseases, are caused by inflammation. So if we can balance our blood sugar, we can prevent a lot of inflammation in the body, which means that we could prevent a lot of some of these diseases. So again, I said that there's 5 levels of blood sugar dysregulation. How do you know if your blood sugar is dysregulated? Well, let's just start with this. Do you get headaches often? Do you have to have coffee to wake up in the morning? Do you need your coffee and maybe a muffin or something from Starbucks, get you a little snacky snack in the afternoon? Do you have menstrual problems? And men, do you have trouble getting erections? Do you have trouble with like AD? Do you have irritability? Men and women, do you have irritability? Do you have blood pressure that is like your blood pressure numbers are going up, your cholesterol numbers are going up? All of these and more are symptoms of blood sugar dysregulation that are not diabetes. And we call these things normal. We normalize it with, oh, I'm going to get some coffee and Jesus. Well, I love coffee too. And literally today I just shared on my Instagram stories about that my husband and I had gone through 750 cups of coffee from Nespresso. And that doesn't include the times that we've gone to the coffee shop and things. So I love myself some coffee. But over this past year, I have been able to self-regulate to no more than 1 cup of caffeine. And then if I do have coffee in the afternoon, it is decaf. It is not me seeking the caffeine rush because I've worked so hard on my blood sugar. Oh, one other big issue of blood sugar, if to know that your blood sugar is dysregulated, is if you don't wake up hungry or you're not hungry within a couple of hours. If you're on thyroid medicine, if your thyroid's not working, your blood sugar is messed up too. So, and that was like totally inappropriate to say that you're messed up, but we all are, really we are. I'm going to share this story real quick that this is just one example of how my blood sugar was dysregulated in times in the past is I had progressively, I was a teacher in the public school system and I was an inner city public school system and was well over 300 pounds, like 320-ish, I think, maybe a little less pounds when I finished working and decided to stay home because there was so much stress on my body. My blood pressure was rising. I found myself as my blood pressure was rising, continuing to go for alcohol, continuing to go for the highly refined palatable foods, especially in the morning. And then when I knew I was at my lowest, like my lowest mentally and physically, I found myself driving through McDonald's in the morning to get a large sugar-free vanilla iced coffee with 2 Egg McMuffins and 2 or 3 of those. Remember when they were a dollar? It was like something, I think they were a dollar for the hash brown thingies. Anyway, that's what I was doing. I just progressively added more and more and more, and my blood sugar was so dysregulated. And I drank probably 2 to 3 pots of coffee at that time. So that's an example of how it just like kind of creeps up over time. All right. So anyway, it's important to pay attention to your blood sugar for inflammation purposes, cholesterol numbers, heart health, immune health, hormone health, and not just sex hormones. Our whole body is run by hormones. We have metabolism hormones, we have stress hormones, we do have our sex hormones, but not funny, but a cool thing to understand about our sex hormones and those like even our libido and our periods is that tells us also how regulated our blood sugar is because it is the first thing to go typically with most of us because if we cannot get an erection if we're a man, if we cannot have a good quality period without pain, or we don't get a period, or those kind or whatever, like, or we don't have a libido, those tell us that that area of the body has shut down and it's going to put resources into the other hormone areas that are required to keep us alive because our sex hormones aren't required to keep us alive. So just a heads up on that. All right, so tips on balancing your blood sugar. Remember, you're not going to balance your blood sugar if you don't do number one, which is the properly prepared nutrient-dense food, and you don't have your digestion. But if you're working with me and my team, we're going to hit the first 3 very hard for your results. So tips to balance your blood sugar. 1, don't eat carbs, including fruit and vegetables, which I hate. Can I just say this for a minute? People are like, I don't eat carbs, or the doctors be like, don't eat carbs. Well, cool. Your carbs are also your fruits and vegetables that you're telling me I'm supposed to eat. So carbohydrates are fruits, vegetables, pastas, those kinds of things. So don't eat carbohydrates naked. We call that naked carbs. Don't eat naked carbs, including your fruits and vegetables without a fat and a protein. So your apple, great choice for a snack. Great choice to have as a side item with your lunch or your breakfast. But don't have that without it. Your oatmeal, think of oatmeal as a side item. It is not an entree. That is pure blood sugar spike, even though it's got a little heart symbol on it. For heart healthy, don't eat oatmeal as your entree. It is a side item. Think of it just like, think of your fruit and vegetables, your oatmeal, your granola. Think of all of that as like your hash browns, like a side item, right? You're not just going to eat a whole plate of potatoes. I mean, I'm sure some of you might, and I might have in the past too, but don't eat them without a fat and a protein. What is a protein? I'm going to do a podcast about this a little bit later, or an episode about this a little bit later. I shouldn't say podcast because this is the Crying in My Cheesecake podcast. But protein, if a protein source means that it is almost all protein has less than 5 grams of fat and less than 5 grams of carbs. A fat source is like very little bit of protein, no carbs. So that's what that is. Fat would be like your peanut butter, your sunflower butter, or sunflower seed butter. It could be butter, it could be oils, it could be those kinds of things. And protein, lean proteins are things like whey and chicken breast and sirloin steak, ahi tuna. Anyway, you get the point. Second step of supporting your blood sugar is don't skip your meals. Because as soon as you skip a meal, it's going to increase your blood sugar and you're going to go through this whole spike. And third step is eat enough protein for your body's needs, which is likely over 100 grams a day. And I say likely, but I really mean it is over 100 grams a day. Most of us should be eating probably 120-ish grams, but protein is one of the most expensive nutrients a cheap way to get that in is chicken breast, is protein whey, egg whites, that kind of thing. That would help you. All right, step 4 is to balance your fatty acids. Fatty acids are vital to supporting your body's needs to inflame and anti-inflame. So we always hear this the idea of inflammation, like we want to get rid of inflammation, right? We hear that all the time, to reduce inflammation. And we do need to. But what happens is I want you to think about the last time, maybe it's just me, you ran your hip into the countertop, or you ran your toe into the wall, because that happens, right? I want you to think about that. And I want you to think about that pulsing pain. That pain you feel like it's like throbbing. That throbbing is inflammation. Your body is meant to inflame, to rapidly send cholesterol and other healing nutrients, your white blood cells, to that area to heal. So we have to inflame in order to anti-inflame. Inflame means we're trying to heal something. Anti-inflame means we're trying to take away that inflammation. So fatty acids make up our cell membranes of every single cell in the body. So if you're eating hard, nasty fats, that's what's on the outside of our cell walls. There are also essential fatty acids. And when we say essential fatty acid, essential fats, these mean that they are required to be gotten from outside the body. We cannot make them ourselves. Essential means that you have to eat them. So tips on supporting your fatty acids is to remove all canola, vegetable, palm, rapeseed, or any other man-made processed oils from your diet. And this is a non-negotiable. And I'm talking Crisco, margarine, all of that. Get rid of it. Everything seems to have it in it too. I promise you, everything, even some of those quote unquote health bars, all of those, watch your labels. These are actually trans fats supported by the American Heart Association. And I'll let you make your own conclusions there. Maybe one day I'll go on it in a little deeper level, but make that conclusion there. These actually turn into trans fats. Okay? Causing inflammation in your body. 2, eat quality fat sources, but you don't need a ton. So you'll have these people like, oh, you need all the fat. Well, it's cool, but you don't need a ton. You need to figure out what actually works for your body. Use grass-fed, grass-finished butters, ghee, avocado oil. Make sure it is avocado oil and no mixed oils. Check the labels. Yes, you have to check labels of even grass-fed or even butters and oils and things like that. Make sure it's one ingredient or salt added to your butter and so forth. And yes, I've given you permission to add that extra guac on there. Canola oil, or I'm sorry, I didn't say canola, coconut oil, lard, tallow, etc. The way our grandmas used to cook. These are excellent sources. Again, these are also cheap If you go to the butcher, you can get lard and tallow and duck fat, and is there a name for duck fat? Anyway, you can get all of these kinds of fats for quite cheap at the butcher. Amounts, how much do you eat? These are completely bio-individual, but the goal is to simply start thinking about and implementing healthy fats and removing these highly processed fats that cause inflammation and disease. If you don't have a gallbladder, it will be very hard to add the fats in, and when I say very hard, it might be painful. Please consider taking the digestive aid I've linked below to support your ability to digest fats well. If you are someone who drinks a lot of alcohol or did in the past, if you're someone who has heart disease in your family or you have elevated cholesterol, eating fats may be hard for you to do mentally or physically. Please check that link below. I will have a link that says with gallbladder, without gallbladder. Take a look and purchase that, because I promise you this will help you digest and absorb, and you're going to feel satisfied from your meals. And this reminds me, if you're enjoying this podcast episode and what we're doing here at Cry My Cheesecake, I created an email list just for you. The goal of this email list is for you to get an email letting you know when a new episode is live, what it's about, and a few special words just from me to you. So that link is down there for you to join that. And on a similar note, this past year, I hired a gentleman to edit this podcast for you. Before his help, I was not only recording, but then I was having to go through and edit everything myself, which ended up being like 2 to 3 hours of work for just one episode for me. Sam, my editor, can do this with so much faster than me, and he's great. It's almost like streamlined. He is a disabled American veteran, and he's someone I'm so grateful to have on Team CIMC, because he understands deeply what we're doing here firsthand. If it weren't for him, I'd not be able to produce as many episodes for you for free every week. If you would like to help support his contributions to this podcast, please consider going to buymeacoffee.com/CIMC. This is a great way to show us that you appreciate his work and our work together, what we're doing here, and getting this podcast out to you. A free way to support us: rate us at 5 stars, give us a great review, and share this on your social media. If you're watching on YouTube, just follow us. Give us a thumbs up, an episode thumbs up. This helps get our info out there to people like you that want to hear this similar kind of content. Thank you so much. All right, back to the foundations of wellness. We've already talked about properly prepared nutrient-dense foods as step 1, step 2 to support your digestion, step 3 to support your blood sugar, step 4 is to handle your fatty acids, and now for 5th, your minerals. Mineral, you probably haven't heard about that for a while, right? Like, that's not something you think of as health and wellness, but minerals compose about 4% of our body. 4%, like it actually takes up a hot second, or a hot spot in our body, right? Humans do not produce minerals, therefore we must obtain them from our food. Get that? So it's essential. It's essential. Essential means we must obtain them from outside sources. Minerals are what remain as ash when a plant or animal tissue is burned. They come from the earth and will eventually return to the earth. Out of the 103 known minerals, at least 18 are necessary for good health. So what are these roles? Why do we need the minerals? What do they do? Well, they act as cofactors for enzyme reactions. It's a fancy name to say cofactors, they are assistants to making reactions happen inside our bodies, for our nervous system, for any of the hormone reactions, for any of, like, even contracting and relaxing your muscle. And I think I'm going to say that, yeah, contracting and relaxing muscles. They are required for facilitating the transfer of nutrients across cell membranes. Cell membranes are just the walls of your cell. They maintain proper nerve conduction. They regulate the tissue growth, like tissue regrowth. Our hair, like our skin, think about, like, if you have a bruise. I still have a scar that's healing from being burnt on Thanksgiving in 2022. I still have one of those, and my minerals, the more I have used minerals and paid attention to my minerals, the faster that tissue growth and repair is happening. And minerals also provide structural support and functional support to our body. So some tips for your mineral balance. Guess what? Go back to step 1, eat whole foods. Optimize your digestion, step 2. Step 3, optimize your blood sugar. Minerals need to come from whole food sources because they come with their cofactors, which are required to absorb them. Their cofactors are their assistants in order to absorb them. Minerals can be depleted from stress and blood sugar dysregulation. So those first 3 things, the reason why I said that these are all organized by steps, like you have to do 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and then 5, is because they all depend on each other. Stop your over-the-counter multivitamin use and start taking beef liver. If you want my recommendations of beef liver, if you eat beef liver, great, go for it. I don't do that. I take a beef liver. My kids take beef liver. That is my multivitamin. If you like my recommendations, check the link below. Third thing to do is to remove processed foods from your diet. Still back to step one there. I wanted to separate this out because I wanted to remind you that processed foods deplete minerals in your body. I also want you to watch your calcium supplementation. That is something that women as you get older are typically told to do, but calcium is not something that you just pee out the extra of. You can pee out the extra of so many other things, but calcium you do not. If you have too much, the excess calcium goes to the weak spots in the body, like, I don't know, arteries, joints, talk about bone spurs, etc. Or, it goes to the weak spots in the body. That's the calcium's job. And we don't want that to go to the weak areas. So just kind of watch your calcium supplementation. Most people do not generally have to supplement with calcium because we get it from everywhere in our bodies. The sixth foundation of wellness is hydration. Water is the most important nutrient in the body, period, because you can survive about 8 weeks without food, but you can only survive days without water. Water makes up 55 to 60% of our total body mass. In an average adult, that equates to 10 to 13 gallons of water. Most of the volume of cells and body fluids is water. Think about even like your phlegm, your sinus, your lymphatic drainage, your blood, your gastric juices, all of those are water. You need water to improve oxygen delivery to your cells. Water transports nutrients, enables cellular hydration, moistens oxygen for easier breathing. Have you ever been dehydrated and be like, and you're like, just don't feel like you're breathing well, like your energy is low? Water cushions bones and joints. It absorbs shocks to the joints and organs. It regulates body temperature. It removes waste from the body. It flushes toxins. It prevents tissues from sticking. It lubricates joints. It improves cell-to-cell communications, maintains normal electrical properties of cells. Again, that's just the nerves, like the nerve tissue, empowers the body's natural healing processes, and enables the digestive process. Water is important. All that is so much to just tell you. Drink your water. So the top tips in getting your water in: start small. Don't overload your body quickly, and don't be like, oh, I'm going to drink 64 ounces of water today, but I've only been drinking 15. Don't do that. Don't do that to your body. Don't make yourself feel like you have to go all in. Remember, step one, we do things slow here. You need about half your body weight in ounces of water. So work your way up there. I would do, if you can get in 1 extra ounce or 1 extra bottle a day for a week, sweet. If you can maintain that the next week, awesome. That means you can try to up it the next week. Add flavorings. I like to add Redmond's real salt to my water. Redmond's real salt just helps me get more minerals, and you can add fruits or frozen fruits instead of ice or with ice. You can even do those Mio, M-I-O squeezes to get you started. Mio is not the best, healthiest thing, but Mio offers you a little bit of flavor into your water if you just like, I hate water, but also we probably need to grow up. Like, I don't know how old you are listening, but you're not a child, and we would not tell a child, oh, that's okay, just skip the water. No, we know what's best for the child. We need to do what's best for us too. And the last area of wellness, the last foundation of wellness, is something I'm really passionate. I'm becoming more passionate about, even like with the liver. Like the liver is my favorite thing with blood sugar. But sleep, stress, and movement. Sleep, stress, and movement. Most people don't go into this. Most people stop with a number on a scale, or most people stop with like, oh, I got my exercise in or whatever. Most people don't think about sleep. We need 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Sleep is when the whole body resets itself. Sleep is when excess body fat is removed, excess cells, excess hormones, literally everything from top down is reset in the body for the next day. It's when our mental health is created and the mental health quality is created. It's when it helps regulate our blood sugar. All of those things from above, all of those are done during our sleep. It's when our tissues grow, all of that. Stress management is huge. If we are not managing our stress, we are continuing to add more blood sugar dysregulation, which is adding more inflammation in our body, which can lead us to disease. And movement. Many of us since 2020 have sat and sat and sat. We may have gotten standing desks, but standing is just only slightly better than sitting. Moving is where we need to go. So some top tips I have to get your sleep in is to make a sleep routine and stick to it. If you can't stick to this elaborate thing that you've created, don't do it. If you've created this elaborate routine for your whole bedtime and you can't do it every night during the holiday seasons, during your busy seasons, that is not a routine you need to do. My routine typically is I shower at night because I hate showering in the morning. I like to go to bed with a clean body in my clean sheets. So I take a shower at night. I spend about an hour with my husband. We hang out. We kind of like watch some TV. He rubs my feet because I'm so dang lucky. And I drink a ashwagandha or an adaptogenic drink before bed. I can do that every single night. No matter how tired I am, no matter how busy I am, I can still give myself 1 hour. I can take a shower and I can drink my adaptogenic drink. And I stick to that. So don't go elaborate. Movement. If you're not getting 7,500 to 10,000 steps a day, start there. The best form of movement is functional fitness, meaning you're lifting weights in a progressive overload in functional ways. If you can't pick something up off the ground without hurting yourself, or you're scared you might hurt yourself, then you are not functionally fit, and you are not functional. Like, that is not, so like these cute video workouts, if they're not teaching you how to pick up heavy things from the ground in a progressive overload, they are not the best form. But I think it's more important to focus on not necessarily the workout, because the workout is 30 to 60 minutes of your day. You sleep for you sleep for 7 to 9, you have 24 hours in the day, you've got to work. Everything else you do outside of your workout matters, and that's why I'm going to put the 7,500 to 10K steps a day as the priority. Start there. Start small and get there. Stress management. Take some time off. Take some time off. Typically, the reason why we are so stressed is because we think that we're the most important person, that if we aren't doing, then if something won't get done. Typically, if we are stressed, we put too much on our calendar because we think we're so important that it has to be done now. And we have to please somebody, even if it's ourselves. When we are stressed, it is usually our fault. We have got to look at our calendars, learn to time block, learn to figure out some empty spaces on our calendar, and don't fill the empty spaces. It's so hard. I'm preaching to the choir there. All right, guys, those are the 7 foundations of wellness. 7 foundations of wellness that I literally walk through with every one of my clients, that I work through in detail with all of my one-to-one clients, my members, our team that works together with our one-to-one clients, all of that. And the thing is, if you hear all this and say, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming and not easier, Danielle, then I hear you. That's why we offer you support here at Cry to My Cheesecake. We are a virtual holistic health clinic, and we offer you 2 different ways right now to support you. We have the Foundational Holistic Wellness Package, and this is for people who are tired of yo-yo dieting. The blood sugar or your blood work says that you're healthy, but you still feel off. You have a health concern or a nagging symptom that you're just like, oh, not again. Maybe you're carrying Tums in your pocket. Maybe you're depressed all the time. Maybe you're anxious. Maybe it's your cholesterol, triglycerides, or blood sugar levels elevated, and you have a family history of heart disease and diabetes, and you want to prevent these kinds of diseases that are in your family lineage. Maybe you've struggled with constipation, ADHD, anxiety, depression, that bloating, antibiotic use. Maybe you have an autoimmune disorder. Maybe you're tired of mixed messages about what's healthy and what's not, specifically for you. Maybe the scale keeps creeping up every year and you feel like you're getting old and losing your quality of life. Maybe you have an eating disorder or a disordered eating pattern. You used to have a ton of energy and now you don't. You're stressed, you've lost yourself in serving others, leaving nothing left for you or your family. You want to go all in, no holds barred, and get results now. The Foundational Holistic Wellness Package is a 1-to-1 high intensity, high touch package. And we have an application process because it is a 12-month phased progression of support. We want to make sure that we are the right fit for you. So you are welcome to apply down below at the link in the show notes. Feel free to apply. We will get back with you shortly. So that is our high touch 1-to-1 foundational holistic wellness. The second one is our community. The Wilderness of Wellness. It's a community for women who want to live their life abundantly, not held back by their body size or symptoms. They want to get more or they want to get reconnected with their body, building healthy relationships, healthy habits, and deepening their relationship with Jesus. You get confidence. We believe in the power of community, being seen, being known, and valued, doing new and hard things, and help you build confidence for all of life's needs. And we welcome women who are already crushing their health and wellness and their relationship and spiritual life, along with those who want to learn and build more confidence and sustainable habits in their lives. When you join, you get a team chat with you get a U plus team CIMC chat for check-ins, questions, personal support. You get to be vulnerable and open in a safe place without judgment. You can ask for recommendations and advice, build real life and virtual relationships with people who have similar worldviews, similar priorities, and desires for their lives. You can share all of your stories, adventures, wins, struggles, things holding you back. You can connect with others in your local area, have trusted relationships in your back pocket, taking the burden off your loved ones for conversations that they're not responsible to hold for you. And you can be part of a special group of women who want to take back the true meaning of a woman's role in the world and then live purposely and full of joy with an abundance mindset. That information is also, if you want to check that out, is also in the show notes. And with that said, I am so grateful for you. And I hope that these foundations of wellness set you afire and give you 7 steps to build upon for your wellness this year. Have an amazing day.